Nilima Salvi, working as Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics, Smriti College of Pharmaceutical Education, Indore. Today we are going to start in continuation with the BCS classification. In previous video we had discussed about the BCS classification, that is Biopharmaceutic Classification System, in which we deal with the permeability and solubility profile of the drugs. As per the BCS classification, we divide the drugs into 4 classes, class 1, 2, 3 and class 4. So, in previous video we had discussed about the description of all the 4 classes of BCS classification system. Now today we are going to start with the objectives of BCS classification of drugs. So, what is the objective or which are the parameters which we find into or through this BCS classification? So, first of all, that through this BCS classification we can predict, or we have to predict IVIVC, that is in vitro in vivo correlation. In previous video we discussed about the in vitro and in vivo correlation. In vitro it means outside the body, and outside the body, that is the dissolution profile of the drug. And in vivo, in this we deal with the absorption of drug into the body. So there should be a relation between the in vitro and in vivo correlation, and this correlation is set with the, when we perform dissolution parameter for any drug, we found the data of dissolution rate profile of drug, and through that in vitro data of dissolution we predict the in vivo absorption characteristic of the drug. It means that in how much time the drug would get absorbed into the body. So, through this in vitro data, we predict the in vivo absorption parameters for the drug. Therefore, it is called as in vitro in vivo correlation. So, through this BCS classification, or objective of this, that we can predict IVIVC through the BCS classification. After that, second thing is to improve efficacy of drug development and review process. It means the drug development process, or we can when we are at the stage of drug development, we can develop the drug which are more efficacious in nature and safe. Efficacious, it means we can improve the efficacy rate of the drug, or how much the drug would be safer for the use. Then through this BCS classification, the next objective is to recommend method of classification according to the dosage form. It means as per the dosage form, whether it is solid, liquid or semi-solid, parenteral, etc. So as per the dosage form, there is a classification of the recommended method, that is dissolution along with the permeability characteristic of drug. It means along with the dissolution we can set a relationship with the permeability characteristic of drug. After this, the next is to provide regulatory tool for replacing certain bioequivalence studies by accurate in vitro dissolution rate. It means in vitro dissolution rate. Outside body, when we will perform the dissolution for any drug, so the rate or the data which we will obtain of the dissolution, so the rate of dissolution we can make the bioequivalence in between the compounds, or by a comparative data of different drugs. So we can set this bioequivalence study for through this BCS classification. then we can reduce the cost in drug development process. So it means we also can reduce the cost of drug development. Then we can reduce unnecessary drug exposure in healthy volunteer or healthy objects. It means if we are administering unnecessary active drug into the patient or into the experimental subjects, then the drug which we are giving to the object, it means it is not easy and safe to administer as such active pharmaceutical ingredient for testing purpose only. So through this BCS classification we can reduce this unnecessary drug exposure into the human object. Then this provide guidance for industries. It means the data of in vitro and in vivo correlation also would be helpful for the industries for the drugs. Then for formula optimization and quality control of the developed drug. So we can control the quality parameters of different dosage form through this BCS guidelines. After that, this was the objectives of BCS classification of drugs. Next is the determination. That in this there are two things. First is solubility and permeability. So how we can determine the solubility and permeability? So this is the determination of solubility and permeability. So in case of solubility, we can predict or determine the solubility with the help of partition coefficient. We earlier discussed about the partition coefficient. Then titration method, pH, solubility profile and spectrophotometric method. So these are the various methods through which you can calculate or find out the concentration of drug into different solvents or fluids. So this is solubility determination methods. After that, permeability determination. It means that how much amount of drug is getting permeate from one place to another, or there is a extent of drug absorption into the body is permeation. So permeation, this could be determined by mass balance pharmacokinetic studies, then absolute bioavailability studies, intestinal permeability studies. Then in this intestinal permeability studies, what we can do, we can perform them through in vivo, in situ and in vitro. In vivo means inside the body, in vitro outside the body, and in situ at the site of application or at the site of administration, the place at where we are delivering the drug or API. So that is in situ. So in situ intestinal perfusion study done into the animals, and in vitro generally we perform in vitro experiments. So through those experiments we can predict the in vitro profile, and in vivo intestinal perfusion study we can perform into the humans. Next topic in after BCS classification and its application or significance. After that we next is application of pre-formulation consideration in development of solid, oral liquids and parenteral dosage form. So we have to find out the application or different points or parameter consideration of this in development of the solid, liquid and parenteral dosage forms. So start with the first solid dosage form, then oral liquid and then parenterals. So how pre-formulation we perform into this form or in this solid dosage forms. So start with the solid dosage form. In this solid dosage form is of low cost and easy to manufacture, and we also can say that solid dosage forms have high safety and low manufacturing cost as compared to the other dosage forms. And after that in this the pre-formulation influence or how the pre-formulation parameters influence. First it influence onto the selection of drug. It means which drug we have to use can be selected, and along with the drug, that which additive we have to add into the dosage form manufacturing. So drug along with the additive, these are or selection of this based onto the pre-formulation parameters. After that, which manufacturing process we have to follow for the manufacturing of dosage form, and which would be appropriate container and closure system for the same. Then which analytical methods we have to perform for the quality control of that dosage form. Then toxicological strategy, we also have to find this into the pre-formulation studies. Basically in this we deal with the physicochemical parameters of the content or additives. After that, pre-formulation also influence on the physical and chemical stability and route of administration, then the drug delivery system and its activity. So these are also influenced because of the pre-formulation. After that, the solubility, salt form, melting point are also studied under this solid dosage form. Then these are the main points, or these are the main parameters which we have to perform as a pre-formulation study for the solid dosage forms. So first of all is organoleptic properties, then purity of the active compound, that how much it is pure, then particle size, shape and surface area of the powder, solubility, dissolution, partition coefficient, ionization constant. These are the various parameters. After that, we also have to find out the crystalline characteristic or crystal property, polymorphism of the powder material. As along with the API, you also have to study of the additives, then density, flowability and wettability of the powder, then stability studies. So these are the different parameters which we have to identify or find out before the manufacturing of the dosage form. After that, this was the solid dosage form. Then start with the oral liquids. In case of liquid, how we can perform pre-formulation study, or which parameter we have to find out before the manufacturing or development of the dosage form. So first of all, we have to find out the solubility of the content. In liquid or oral liquid formulation, there would be solid along with the liquid contents. So we have to find out that whether the solid content is completely miscible into the solvent or vehicle is not. So we have to first of all find the solubility, and in the solubility we can find partition coefficient, dissociation constant, co-solvency characteristic of the substances. After that, dielectric constant, solubilization techniques, that how we can solubilize the poorly water soluble drug into the solvents, complexation, then hydrotrophy. So these are the different parameters which we have to perform or find out as a pre-formulation study in oral liquids. Then lastly, in case of the parenteral formulation, in parenteral, first we have to perform bulk characterization. In bulk characterization, we can find particle size, powder flow properties, crystallinity and polymorphism of the material or substances. After that, secondly, we can perform solubility studies. In solubility study, again we can perform dissociation constant determination, common ion effect, partition coefficient, then stability study. So in solution state stability and solid state stability, so we have to find both solution and solid state stability. Then in analytical methods, we can go for the spectroscopy, UV, IR and X-ray diffraction techniques. Then in case of microscopy, we can through this microscopy we can find out the thickness, shape, particle size of the drug molecules. Then in chromatography we can perform TLC, gas chromatography and high performance liquid chromatography. So these are the different analytical methods which we can use to perform pre-formulation studies onto the parenteral dosage forms. So this is overall that how the pre-formulation consideration are involved into the into the development of solid, oral liquids and parenteral dosage forms. Then after that we will start with the impact onto the stability. Thank you.